Hey, welcome to Life After Nursing School. I'm your host, Caroline Dana, aka Nurse Coach Caroline, and I'm here to help you, the new nurse, thrive in your career. As a former nurse recruiter, nurse manager, and now your personal new nurse career coach, I'm obsessed with making sure you don't just survive your first couple of years at the bedside. I want you to absolutely rock them. From the challenges to the triumphs, I'll be right here with you, giving you the real-world advice and support that you need to shine. Whether you're in nursing school getting ready for life after, or you're already out there in nurse life feeling overwhelmed or even questioning your confidence, I've got your back. I'll be sharing tips, tricks, resources, and strategies that are just for you. We'll dive into everything from landing that dream nursing job to slaying imposter syndrome, and most importantly, how to keep that spark alive and stay the vibrant and amazing nurse that you are. So if you're ready to tackle the things nursing school did not cover, like how to build a career, trust yourself, and keep your passion strong, then get comfortable because we are about to dive in and make nurse life the best life. Welcome to today's episode of Life After Nursing School podcast. Today, we're talking about common resume and cover letter mistakes, ones that I have seen over and over again throughout my career. These mistakes absolutely apply to new grad nurses, but they show up with experienced nurses too. So whether 2026 is the year you land your first nursing job or finally when you make that career pivot, this episode is for you. And if you're enjoying the show, I'd love it if you took a moment to rate the podcast. Or if this episode really resonates, leave a review. Hearing from you truly motivates me to keep hitting record and sharing this content. Okay, before we dive in, I do want to quickly mention a resource that may be helpful. If you're a new grad nurse heading into or already in your final semester, or if you've graduated and you aren't getting traction in the job market, my digital course, Application Advantage, was designed specifically for you. It's a step-by-step guide to creating resumes and cover letters that actually work, and with templates included. Don't worry, I will link it in the show notes if you're interested in checking out more information. Now, let's start by understanding why these documents matter. Your resume is essentially your ticket into the organization. And what that means is it either will allow you to pass go and land an interview, or it doesn't allow you entry at all. Your resume and cover letter are often the only representation of you and your accomplishments that the hiring team sees. If they aren't clear, effective, or impactful, your application will likely land in the no pile. So how do you know if your application documents are working? You usually don't know until you start applying. If you're submitting applications and receiving quick auto rejection messages or emails, or hearing absolutely nothing back, something likely isn't working. Let me share my own experience. When I was in my final semester of nursing school, it was early 2012, probably around February, when new grad jobs were suddenly posted for a summer start. I had no idea jobs were posted that early. I didn't even know you could apply before graduating. Honestly, no one told me that. So when I found out, I panicked. None of these postings listed even had a closing date. I had no idea if they'd been up for months or hours, or if they would continue to be up for a long period of time. Meanwhile, life didn't stop. I was in my senior ICU capstone. I was juggling exams, assignments, and clinicals. So I'll be honest, I rushed my resume and cover letter. I threw together what I thought was supposed to be on a resume. I sent it to my mom. She is a retired nurse, so it was helpful, but no offense, Mom, if you're tuning in here. New grad hiring has changed a lot, and she really isn't the best resource for advice. And then I also sent it to my then boyfriend, now husband, who completely rewrote it, but he's a physician's assistant. I also went to my college career center, and the advice felt very business focused, not healthcare specific. After everyone had an opinion and gave me their 2 cents, I had to make an executive decision myself and finalize those documents and started submitting applications. And honestly, I felt confident. I had worked as a patient care technician throughout nursing school. I was the captain of the women's cross country team. I was inducted into Sigma Theta Tau Honor Society. So I truly believed I would at least land an interview wherever I applied. So I waited and waited and waited, and I only got one call back, and it was from the organization where I worked as a patient care technician. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but later I learned that was a courtesy interview. And yes, courtesy interviews are very real. When I eventually joined hiring teams, I learned being an internal employee or connected to leadership often results in at least a courtesy interview, even when the hiring team already knows the outcome. Out of all places that I applied, I only landed this one interview, and it was a courtesy interview. I was honestly stunned. Fast forward almost 14 years, and now I understand exactly where I went wrong. My application documents weren't strategic. They didn't clearly highlight my strengths or differentiate me. I dreamed of starting in an ICU at a level 1 trauma center, and instead I began my career on a med-surg unit at a small community hospital. And for the record, I wouldn't change it for the world. That hospital honestly gave me incredible opportunities. I served on a new grad nurse hiring committee. I became a hospital recruiter. I was later a nurse manager. So I am so thankful and happy that I started in that small community hospital. It truly shaped my career, and it gave me the tools to be where I am today. But even though I believe everything happens for a reason, I don't want you to struggle the way that I did. I want you to have options. I want you to have opportunities. I want you to get callbacks from every place that you apply to. Over the years, I have served on new grad nurse residency hiring committees. I've worked as a hospital recruiter and hired new nurses and experienced nurses as a nurse manager. I've reviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes and cover letters, and I've seen the same mistakes repeatedly. So let's dive in, and we're going to start with the cover letter. The biggest mistake I see when it comes to cover letters is making it generic and cold. When a cover letter isn't personalized to the organization, it signals that the candidate wrote one letter and sent it everywhere. Unfortunately, that also reads as lazy or uninterested. Two things you never want to be perceived as, especially when you're seeking a job. Generic cover letters are forgettable. They all sound the same, and your goal is the opposite. You want to be remembered. Don't be afraid to share a little bit about you in the cover letter. This is how you create connection. Hiring teams are reviewing hundreds of applications, and it becomes very easy to remove the human element from the equation. So your goal is to make the human connection palpable on the page. So now let's transition to your resume. One of the biggest issues I see with a resume is confusion, unclear timelines, clinical rotations that aren't labeled by specialty, employment experience that's very difficult to follow. Honestly, if a resume is confusing, it will not be impactful. Here's a simple test for you. Give your resume to a family member, preferably someone maybe not in nursing or medicine, and ask them to explain your experience back to you. If they can't clearly articulate it, neither can a hiring team. When I worked as a hospital recruiter, I spent a lot of time doing phone screens. I would ask candidates to walk me through their resumes. Many times, it wasn't that the candidate lacked experience. They simply didn't know how to format clearly. I also occasionally encountered resumes that overstated experience, which became apparent very quickly during conversation. But here's the thing. Most new grad positions don't do phone screens. Hiring teams often don't have the time or bandwidth to clarify your experience. So if your resume is confusing, they'll simply move on. Your resume needs to be clear, strategic, and easy to navigate. Use headings. Use bold or italics to clearly separate sections. Make sure page breaks feel natural, and ask yourself, does this document look clean, professional, and easy to read? Another common mistake is length. There is no rule that a resume must be one page. I often see resumes crammed with information, making it difficult to read, or the font size really, really small so that they can make the one-page rule. Your resume honestly should be long enough to accurately reflect who you are, your education, clinical rotations, employment experience, and accomplishments. That said, excessive bullet points and repetitive information are not necessary. For example, if you list that you were a Dean's List recipient under education, you don't need to repeat it again under awards. Pick one area to list it. Clarity always wins over quantity. Now, if you want more information on first impressions and how important they are in the interview setting, please go to last week's episode 49, where I dive in and share all that I learned about first impressions. All right. And Moving back to our resume and other mistakes that are made. Small mistakes, like being generic, unclear, or unintentional, can quietly close doors before you even know they were open. So the goal here with these application documents is not perfection. It's clarity, strategy, and connection. Clear resumes that are easy to navigate. Cover letters that feel human and personalized. Objective statements that hook the reader and make them want to learn more about you. The last mistake I want to highlight is when resumes either don't include an objective statement at all or include one that is completely generic. If you're not familiar, an objective statement typically sits at the top of your resume, right under your name and contact information. Its purpose is to clearly communicate your professional goal with that specific application. But here's what I teach my clients. An objective statement shouldn't just state your goal. It should be strategic. It should hook the hiring team. This is the very first section that they see of your application document. And if it's generic or missing altogether, there's no hook. I like to think of it as the same way we think about social media. A good reel or TikTok video grabs your attention in the first few seconds and makes you stop scrolling. Your objective statement should do the same thing. It should stop the hiring team from moving on to the next resume and instead motivate them to keep reading yours. So I want to challenge you to get a little more creative here. Don't just write that you're seeking a new grad nurse residency opportunity. Instead, find a way to communicate who you are, how you want to show up, someone who values teamwork, is committed to lifelong learning, and takes pride in being a professional. That's how an objective statement becomes more than a formality. It becomes a first impression. And again, if you need convincing that first impressions matter, check out episode 49, all about first impressions in an interview. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with this. Your resume and cover letter aren't just documents. They're your introduction. They're often the first impression a hiring team has of you long before you ever get the chance to sit in the interview chair. And small mistakes, being generic, unclear, unintentional, can quietly close the doors before you even know that they're open. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is clarity, strategy, and connection. Clear resumes that are easy to navigate, cover letters that feel human and personalized, objective statements that hook the reader and make them want to learn more about you. If you've been applying and feeling discouraged, I hope this episode reminded you that it's not a reflection of your worth or your potential as a nurse. Sometimes it's simply about learning how to present yourself in a way that hiring teams can immediately understand and appreciate. And remember, these principles don't just apply to job applications. They matter in interviews, shadow experiences, networking conversations, and really any moment where you introduce yourself professionally. How you show up matters. If you'd like more support, you'll find resources linked in the show notes, including my Application Advantage course. If this episode was helpful, I'd be so grateful if you shared it with a fellow nursing student or new nurse and took a moment to rate and review the show. It truly helps more nurses find this podcast and means so much to me. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I have one hand for me and the other for you. Signing off. Well, that's it for today's episode of Life After Nursing School. I hope you feel more confident and ready to tackle the challenges that come with starting your nursing career. Remember, the first year or two might not be easy, but with the right mindset, you can overcome anything. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Also, please consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps so much in reaching other new nurses like you. Thanks for listening, and remember, you've got this. Take care and see you next time.